Hi there, namaste. This is Lindsey Porter of Youganuu, and I've invited my good friend and yogi, Donna Noble, who's a wonderful ambassador for body positivity. And the two of us thought it would be a really good idea to get together, do a live video recording, and just talk about body shapes and sizes, yoga on the mat, tips and hints. Maybe if you have questions following this, you want to get in touch, and we can maybe produce a few more and do some poses as well. But firstly, hi, Donna.
Hi, Lindsay. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So fun to be doing this with you, a first.
I know. Many firsts together and another one.
This is true. Great. So, as you know, Donna and I are really passionate about yoga for minds and bodies, and we both do a lot of work in different areas about supporting, making it more accessible, improving our mental health and well-being, but also working with what we've got. And the important thing is to allow yourself to be on the mat, do your breathing exercises, and working with what you have. So today's really about perhaps breaking down some of the barriers and myths and giving you some tips and hints to support you in that. So we're going to do a bit of a Q&A session. So Donna, I've got a question for you to start us off with.
Okay, fire away.
Yes, Donna. Some people would see you as this typical, beautiful yoga body, tall, slim, very toned and fit. You're Bikram trained, and I just wondered why body positivity for you in particular, and why now?
Okay. The reason, Lindsay, for body positivity was first and foremost, I read an article by a curvy journalist, Deborah Cockling, about 2 years ago, and she's a curvy individual, and I just read about her experience in a yoga class, and because she was curvy, she was invariably stared at by other yogis and ignored by the yoga teachers, and something kind of didn't feel right, and apparently I kept talking about this and saying it's not right and etc. And my friends were like, well, either shut up or do something about it. So something resonated with me there, because yoga is about union, not just with yourself but with others as well. So so shortly after that, I kind of came up with a name, and I like the word wholesome and the word curvy. But as you know, because you've done the curvy yoga training, all connotations or permutations of the word curvy had gone. But I didn't want a name that would put people off. So I like wholesome, but I thought I couldn't put wholesome yoga, because what would that mean? So I put curve and then some, and that's how curve some yoga came about. And even in the beginning, Lindsay, I didn't even know if it something like that was required. So the way in which I got confirmation, was when I went to the Yoga show and I got it crowdfunded. So everything seemed to lead me towards that. And when I went, the reaction, Lindsay, was just amazing, that I was the only one doing anything that catered for somebody over a size 12. And it didn't even, my size didn't even come in as a factor. I did get a little bit of pushback from friends initially, just exactly for that reason. You're slim, so how can you teach someone that's curvy? And then it was when somebody said to me, okay, so you don't have to be gay to advocate gay rights. And I thought, you know what, you've got a valid point here. And that's how I was able to push back on that. But I have to say, Lindsay, I'm glad to say that I don't get much pushback on that now, because I think maybe Kirsten Yoga is more established. Everyone knows that's about me. And when we get into the class, Lindsay, it doesn't matter about bodies. We go beyond that, and so it's not an issue with my students.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. So Lindsay, right back at you, because you did the curvy yoga training and very body positive in what you do.
Yeah. For me, it's been really about a journey of my body. So to sort of, I've had 2 children. I ended up having 2 cesarean sections. And with that comes lots of lumps and bumps and new things that have been a real journey for me to, A, understand why are they suddenly with me, and B, they're not necessarily going to perhaps ever disappear. So that has definitely impacted my own yoga practice and really changed the way I see and how other people relate to their own bodies. And you know, it's still very much a journey I'm on, but what I'm doing is always working towards acceptance. And I think part of that acceptance is working with what you've got, and maybe it is using more props in whatever way. And I think that partly led me to the idea of going to do some additional training with Anna Jelly, that runs curvy yoga in America. And it really just supported that practice. And it's definitely helped me be more confident as well, because as a teacher, you are very much on show. But I kind of come back to the notion of, do you know what? I'm doing the best I can working what I've got. So I like to make modifications. I like to maybe, just make it a bit lighter in the room. You can sort of, if you can grab some layers, great, like grab them, make yourself more comfortable. See if you can like move it out the way or tuck it somewhere, just to help you really feel, you're doing the best for your body. So that's really been where I've come from with the yoga and bringing in this idea of more body positivity into the classes.
Yeah, and that's lovely to see, Lindsay. So, and that's why I think we kind of came together, and that's how we met as well in that respect. So it's nice to see, and very much as you said, Lindsay, just come to the yoga with the body that you have, and everybody's a yoga body. I think we're born yogis.
And I think it's a really powerful message that people are open to hearing these days about being real people on the mat and not necessarily needing to airbrush or whatever, and just kind of be where you're at. And I know your own journey through having Bell's palsy, and you've been talking a lot about that lately, and that's such an empowering thing, and that's a very visual thing too, isn't it, that people see? So not that really dissimilar from having a curvy body or whatever it is.
Exactly, and that's why I think I've gone more down the body positive route and also the body image route, because the Bell's palsy, because it came from nowhere, a very visible illness, and it just knocked me for six. It completely sort of changed me initially, until the yoga helped me to heal, and taking a more holistic route to my healing made me come to terms with it and live with it and recover from it somewhat. And I still today still on this healing journey with it, but I feel more empowered to let everyone get out there and see that it's what's on the inside that's most important. It's not what's on the outside. And if there's anyone that is more sensitive about looks, then maybe they're not right to be in your life, because everything at the moment, Lindsay, is very from an external point of view. And right now, with social media, this endemic of having to alter the way you look, and that's why I'm passionate about doing this. Just be the way you are and be real, because when you try to achieve some of these unrealistic looks or what the latest thing is at the moment, like maybe it's getting a Kardashian butt, which it doesn't make you happy. And then once you're happy with yourself, then you can move away from all these external factors and see that what we're being sold in the media isn't real and is not sustainable. That a lot of these images are airbrushed.
I think you're right, and it's really good to bring these messages out. And I know very soon you'll be at the healthcare conference that Heather Mason's running, and it's great to see that there's this great collection of people that are all talking about really important subjects around yoga and our health.
Yeah, because in India, yoga, the reason why yoga is so popular now for various reasons, but it's been around for thousands of years and it works. That's why it's still around. It's not going to be one of these things that's in fashion. It's always there. And a lot of teachers that you find that are very passionate about yoga, it's healed them in some sort of way. And that's why I suppose, like you, Lindsay, we're passionate about sharing it, because we can see how much it can help us in our everyday lives. And it's still very relevant now as it was many thousands of years ago.
So on that point, I'd really like to come back and have a chat about this word curvy, because it's very much accepted in America, and people are really kind of getting on board with all everything that's going on there. I just wondered how you've been finding the use of it and people's interpretation of it from a UK kind of cultural perspective.
From a UK, it depends, Lindsay, because some people think, why do you have to put the word curvy in front of yoga? It should just be yoga, so everybody should be welcome. But I find that it is needed, because there are people searching for yoga that may not be that typical yoga body, so to speak. And that's one way of identifying it. And curvy has a lot of connotations. When I first started with curvy yoga, it was for women that were slightly larger. But then anybody that's curvy will come along. So it can be someone that's curvy just in terms of shape, but also someone that may be slightly larger. So I'm finding that a lot more people are coming to the mat when they find out curvy yoga. But I'm using more body positive yoga, because I think that seems to appeal to a lot more individuals, because that maybe gives the idea that it's going to be a safer space, and that the yoga will be a bit more slower in that respect. So I find that's working more. But the curvesome yoga will always be there. But I hope that one day I can maybe get rid of the curvesome yoga, because anyone that will come to my class will know what I'm about, so they'll know that that's a natural given there in that respect, and there'll be no need for it. But for now, it definitely is needed as like a signpost to say, look, here I am in all the other forms of yoga. And also, I see nothing wrong with it, because you've got dog yoga, you've got press yoga. So there's a yoga for everybody out there. So I don't know why some people get offended. And sometimes it's just teachers, like why they get on this high horse. Why do you need this? It's another form of yoga, but it really is needed to attract people that don't see themselves onto the yoga mat.
That's interesting, because I've had a very sort of mixed response up in Scotland where I'm based as well. And it does range from that, well, why will I go to there? Because the yoga's for everybody. And then I also see this sort of group of people that some of them it's really difficult to get into a yoga space in a yoga room. So it's about creating that acceptability. But I've also found that sort of the people that I know that are really going to benefit from it, and some of the adjustments and modifications I can offer to make a practice accessible, they're not even able to get into the space in the first place. And those that do are then very relaxed and come back again. And in a way, that's led me a bit more down this idea of the mental wellbeing health route. And as you know, I've signed up, I'm a signatory of the Mental Health Charter in Scotland, which is all about just breaking down barriers for people with mental challenges to access activity like yoga. So I'm kind of trying some different messages or different ways to kind of link into this group and, you know, help make it okay for them to come. But at the same time, I think, yeah, it's still feels like a moving target for me up in Scotland.
But what I found that works for me, Lindsay's imagery, because representation matters. And I find when individuals see themselves represented, they're more inclined to want to come along to see it. And I think that's what I do more. And that I can put an image up and I can get it, the reach will be so vast. So maybe try the imagery. The words will help, but imagery, because people are very visual. And sometimes I know it gets away from making yoga very visual, because you can't see, you can't show all the different aspects, like the breathing, you know, but just women doing the yoga will appeal, because it's like, oh, there's someone like me doing it. And I'm trying to move away from using bodies from the States. And the reason for that is because they think, oh, these women like Dana Falsetti and Jessamine, they're very confident. So they're beginning to think that, oh, they're out there, they can't do it. So that's why using individuals from the UK or London, I think, has a bit more impact, and that's starting to happen there. And there is a bit of a shift in terms of more people are coming on board, but when you look at their social media feed, they're not really body positive. It's just the latest trend now, or the latest hashtag that they can use to maybe appeal to more people to get them into yoga, unfortunately.
And here's the thing, what I'm kind of doing, like people don't realize it, but I bring into like curvy related themes and suggestions into my classes and practice anyway. So, you know, trying to help make it more accessible, you know, to maybe suggest moving your leg in a certain way, or really kind of feel how it is for you and making it more comfortable, and perhaps using a few props. So it's kind of happening anyway.
But what I do, because I did the training with Diane Bondi and Amber Kearns, and what they implement is called the bus stop level. So you have 3 levels of posture. So what you do, you have like the first one, then you have another one. So a posture like, I can't think of what kind of posture you'd have 3 variations in there. I can't think of one right now. Maybe like downward dog. So downward, you might not want to do downward dog, so you might want to just do cat cow. And then you might have someone do puppy dog, because it's too much. And you might then, the next option will be the full, you know, having the hands in the full, or maybe bringing in blocks. So you give the options there, and that seems to work. But what you do, you empower them to use those postures they want to see. I don't actually say, well, Lindsay, you do that one this week, but I might suggest it, but you empower them. They may try, and then they can back off, and let them know it's okay. And just with props, I have props myself, and I use props. So they then don't feel as though they're being picked on by me suggesting it. So it's a level playing field for everybody, having the props at the start of the class there as well. And that seems to work. And you know, and I use the props. Even when I do anything on social media, I love my yoga wheel right now. So I'll go on my wheel, and it's a prop, but it's making the posture sometimes even more difficult. So, you know, there's different levels or different degrees in which you can use the props, or even like pull the wall, as I call it. You know, it's support, and it's fine. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a yogi by using a prop. So it's moving away from that stigma that some individuals may have, or feel if they use the props that they're not as good as maybe somebody else in the room as well.
I think that's that good advice there. So why don't we move into a bit about like maybe some tips and techniques? And we've already said that perhaps we're not set up in the best way today to show full-on postures, but with some things maybe we can talk about or show from the angles that we've got. Do you want to start off with one first that comes to mind?
Okay, so one posture maybe that individuals find is eagle, eagle arms. So instead of, if this is not accessible, then what maybe I say someone will do is just elbow to elbow and just push down. And then maybe you haven't got a belt here. I didn't bring my belt. Or just having the belt in the hands and walking the hands together, and that will eventually go together. But that might not be possible. But just doing that and pulling down slightly will start to open up the shoulders.
And sometimes what I do is say you can kind of hug your shoulders as well, and you can kind of bring that security, comfort in, type thing. That's really nice.
And that's another good one. But I think when you hug, though, if that's all that's available, that's fine. But if you can, pulling it down, you open the shoulders a little bit more, so you're working towards it. Because I find, like as you said, I teach Bikram. So when I sometimes go in the room, men have bulging biceps, so they always find it difficult. Right. And some of them, I then make them do that, and eventually they do get the grip. Some may never get the grip because some postures may not be possible because of the body types, but some you can tell who can go a bit further. Instead of just being here and doing that, and you see them 2 years later, they work towards the journey. So as a teacher, we make that judgment call, but I always say to anybody, your body is the best guide.
I like that idea of the strap there, and that way you're still working the trapezius at back, getting that nice work from the muscle there.
And then eventually, and sometimes you do the first set. Sometimes I do it twice. The second time when the body opens,
Bikram training.
And then it's starting to come, and you just see this. They're stunned that they can actually even try to do it sometimes as well, because it's not the body stiff, Lindsey, it's the mind, as you well know.
Love it. Okay,
so would you like to offer?
Yes, I'm going to show you one of mine. I'm going to move back a little bit here. So funnily enough, I've left all my yoga straps at the studio. However, it did make me run around the house thinking about what you can do to modify, which is perfect, because if you're at home, you might need to do this too. So I have one very lovely man's tie here with Bugs Bunny on. That's always an option. A dressing gown cord, or I've got my son's karate belt. Now, if you're a parent and your kids do this, you've probably got, like me, like a whole range of colours in every colour. But what a perfect reuse. So which one should I go for? I'm going to use the karate belt. So this is one for people who find themselves slightly larger chested, or just find that when you're doing particularly an inversion, like a downward dog, or even in like a box position, that often what can happen, the chest, no matter what type of bra you've got on, you might find it moves up, and it has this effect of where it starts to come into the throat, and it can restrict the breathing somewhat. And as we know, breathing is very important in yoga. And sometimes if you've got that feeling, and even if it's just a slight feeling of suffocation, you will not have your mind in the right place at that moment. You'll not be getting the benefits of posture. You'll just be like, I'm trying to breathe, and when can I come out of this, please? So this one is quite useful. And do you know what? Even if you're not sure whether you're large chested or not, it might be something you give a go and it works for you. So it looks a bit strange, but I'm going to take a strap or anything, and I'm going to put it around my back here, and I want to sort of bring it just above where your chest is, and then just fold it. Now, the advantage of a yoga strap is that you can cinch it a bit more easily, whereas this I'm going to end up with a bit of a knot. So I might turn it to the side slightly. I might decide to leave it like this, or I might put in a second knot. And then what you've done is cinch it in, not obviously too tight. You don't want it to be painful. You've got a bit of cinch effect there. And then as you go down into whatever posture, you'll just notice, a bit hard to demo here, but it just keeps this chest. It gives you that little bit of extra breathing space. And a lot of people I've worked with have just found suddenly that posture is a completely different experience for them, because they can stay there a bit longer. They can work with their breath. They've not suddenly got this constriction in their body to work with.
Yeah. And that's also good for shoulder stand as well.
Yes, you're right. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, and that's one I use, but I normally have the belt there, so that's very good. Yeah. So another very good tips there. But if you want any more, if you have any other questions that you may want on modifications or variations, please feel free to message us after this video as well, or before the next one, hopefully. Okay. So Lindsey, you are up to so many things at the moment. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what the future holds? And you've just actually written a book, which I read and absolutely love as well.
Yes, thank you. Do you know what? I did have it next to me just in case. So, really exciting journey. And as we know, sometimes when you sort of yield to the universe and follow a certain path, it starts to open up new doors that you would never imagined. And I definitely feel like I'm loving that journey right now. Just had a book published that's doing well so far, and I'm working with SAMH, the Scottish Association for Mental Health. They've just run out a new social media campaign, which I'm on and included in, talking about yoga as one activity to support mental health and well-being. So that's really exciting. Following Scottish Parliament that I went to last year, I'm working with a few MSPs, that's Member of Scottish Parliament, about bringing to their constituents some events just to support mental health and well-being, and encouraging people in the community in to experience and hear about yoga and breathing and meditation and mindfulness. So it feels like it's a good time right now that communities are a little bit more open to finding ways to just support themselves against the everyday stresses and strains of our lives. So yeah, lots going on, and I'm sure there's a lot more things that will be happening. But in a nutshell, that's me, keeping me busy.
And where can anyone buy the book, Lindsey?
You can get it on most online distributors, including things like Amazon, in paperback or in Kindle versions. So the title is Whirlpools, Yoga and the Balance of Life.
And I highly recommend it. I know Lindsey well, but I know her a lot better now after reading the book. It's really inspirational.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I keep saying I don't have so many secrets anymore. But there you go. Yeah, and it's really nice that so many people have been saying that when they're reading some of my story, they're finding significance and memories from their own stories that, you know, maybe have faded over the years but are coming back from the things they've done. And that's really special to hear that and be able to facilitate that.
Thank you.
So yoga. So Donna, what else is happening with you at the moment?
Well, much at the moment. So as you mentioned, I'm talking at the Yoga in NHS conference at the weekend. So I'm looking forward to that, sort of listening to inspirational yogis and speakers in the medical and the government as well. And also my workshop will be on body positivity. So spreading the benefits of that and just what a class entails, and, you know, language and how to make yoga more accessible, which is what I'm all about at the moment. And what I did last year, I did the accessible yoga training. So now I can teach from anyone in a bed up to, you know, well, all body types basically. So I'm happy about that. What am I doing next?
Also, Yoga magazine. Tell us about that. You had a double spread, didn't you, in yoga?
I think, yes, in Yoga magazine. So that one was about talking about body positive yoga, because with it being January, and, you know, at this time of year, we're still in that storm of diet culture and things like that. So it was about just how to be body positive and how yoga can help you to just really come home to your body and how to love your body, and a little bit of how yoga helped me, as I mentioned before, with my Bell's palsy, how I came to love my body. Because we don't realize, Lindsey, how amazing our body is, basically, but we get in our own way by coming from an external point of view, as opposed to realizing that whatever we're looking for, searching for outside, is already in us. And that's where that happens. I think it's happened to both of us, and we start to sort of go with the flow and trust the universe. And you just think, how has this happened so quickly? Now things are happening more quickly, and it's like, I just thought that, and it's happening. And you think, oh, I'm getting a bit woo-woo, but it does work.
So, you know? Just on that point, just for our listeners and viewers, so Don and I ended up on this magical journey out to India last year, and we got a chance to chat and talk on all things yoga. And something we were talking about that we'd love to do and make happen is doing a joint retreat, body positivity retreat, possibly somewhere in England, so it's accessible from all over the UK. But we'd love to invite people listening here, and if you're interested in that, then please do let us know so we can kind of get together and make it happen, eh, Donna?
Yeah, look at me, everything. Love the retreat, so we're putting it out there now properly to look at it. And it'll be so, Lindsey and I, we very much complement each other. So on this retreat, it'll be a totally accessible yoga, and there'll be talks on self-love, how you can come to navigate life, and just how to get the mind-body connection, how to eliminate stress from your life. So I think it'd be magical, actually.
Probably a few giggles on the way as well, no?
Yeah, because I think we both take yoga as though it should be fun and not to be taken too seriously. And I think that's the way, if you do apply that, that's where the yoga really takes hold of you, and you can just bring those tools into your everyday life. For me, yoga is when whatever you learn on your mat, you can bring it into your everyday life, and that's when you start to live the yoga. So fingers crossed it will happen.
I know, yes, do let us know. So what about resources, places where people can find out more, go for inspiration? What's on your list of places to suggest?
So yeah, so if you want to find out anything about God, what am I doing? So you can go to Curse on Yoga, follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and I post very much anything that I find inspirational. You'll find them on there as well. I'm starting my podcast again, so the links will be there for that. So I'm interviewing some inspirational people, not only about yoga, but about body image things and just, the things that I feel that need to be addressed, because I went to Dana Falsetti's workshop at the weekend, and it was about social justice, and just, Lindsay, it was about how we can use yoga to call out things that we see that aren't right, that we don't have this, is it spiritual bypass, and just say, oh, if someone told you something's wrong, oh, just do yoga, and just dismiss what they're thinking. So again, yoga is such a powerful tool that helps us to make our community and the world a better place. So that's what you'll find on my feed a lot more. And that's it really. And also on YouTube, there's free videos, free yoga videos as well. And I'll be doing some more programs later this year in terms of like maybe doing more coaching, because I do coaching as well, just how you can navigate life and bring in a yoga element in there as well.
Brilliant.
And some retreats.
And your YouTube channel, is that Curve Some Yoga or under Donna Noble?
Yeah, it's Curve Some Yoga. So you'll see there's beginners yoga and body positive yoga there as well. And I think that's it. And that if you go on my channels, you'll see, I think there's so much. I'm going to Turkey with a yoga retreat, a self-love one. So they're all on there. I'll do like 1-day retreats, or I'm going to be doing actually a wheel yoga workshop, because we the yoga wheel, and the yoga wheel just makes a lot more, open your spine a lot more easily than trying to do these deep back bends.
Yeah.
You can sit on the wheel, find the wheel, and just let your body take the shape of the wheel, which is quite nice. Yeah.
There is so much going on for you. What's keeping you grounded? What's your words of inspiration that you say to yourself at the moment?
I just go with the flow. Just really go with the flow. And what I do, there's something like I adhere to, it's called the 3 principles. It's mind, thought, and consciousness. And so the mind to me is like the sky. And then, you might have dark clouds that come and go, but the blue sky is still there. So to me, these will always go. And it's okay to have those thoughts with you, but they're only temporary and they will go. And that I can then see that some of the things I'm going through, it's just my interpretation of them. So they're not always as they are. So just to back off and let them go. And that way, that keeps me grounded, that I don't get too stressed. And the yoga is key for me. If I don't do yoga for a few days, Lindsay, my body will tell me I'm stiff. I'm driving. I'm starting to get a bit, too heavy on the car. Then I know, get on the mat and just even 10 minutes of, a couple of sun salutations really does ground me. And even meditation, I just sit, stillness, because I've got a very quick brain, just sitting there in the morning and just having that me time. Self-care to me, Lindsay, is key. On Sunday, I'll have a hot Epsom salt bath. Everyone's like, I've got no time, but I just sit in there, Lindsay, 30 minutes, candles, I even fall asleep. Just, bringing the body back to base is what I do. So self-care, everyone, I can't mandate enough. I know in society, everyone makes that self-care as being selfish. It's not. As someone says, you can't pour from an empty cup or an empty glass. So that's what you need to do. What about you, Lindsay? How do you keep, because you're equally as busy.
I think, one of the phrases that keeps coming back to me, and I keep saying this to myself at the moment, is that notion sort of having the kind thoughts, the kind words, and the kind deeds. And I think I keep reminding myself to apply that within. And that's just making sure that I feel I'm focused in the right ways, in the right direction. And that's both within the yoga stuff I'm doing, but just also to myself, and my family, having other commitments and children and things like that, is keeping all of that in a place that feels right and comfortable for all of us.
How do you find that balance, Lindsay? Because obviously you mentioned you've got family and the yoga stuff and the book. You're just doing so much. So how do you find that balance for you?
It shifts around. I'm one of these people that I can work until quite late and still manage to get up in the morning. So I have a fairly large capacity to fit a lot in on my day. But like you, I love a bath. That kind of brings me back down. And obviously the yoga practice is, and the community that, I share my yoga with is really important to me. I think they feed me as much as they see me feeding them to get them through their weeks in the best way, the right way. And it's very much a two-way thing.
And I think you're right, because we exchange energy, and I can go into class and I think, oh, I'm so tired, but the energy you receive is like they feed you, and it's a two-way thing, and it's just so amazing. Because I saw some students this morning, because when I was taught Bikram in the States, and I was mentored there, and they taught me to teach with energy. And Donna, when someone's trying to kick out their leg and stuff, you don't just say kick and kick and kick. It's like you really give that energy, and they're like, oh my god, I felt so amazing after class, because you push them and you let them see what they can do, so they go beyond their comfort zone. And then the endorphins really kick in, and they got that, and that's what it's about. And that's why I'm so passionate about, well, especially Bikram, because Bikram is one of the ones where there's just so much energy, and you can really channel that energy in the room, and that's why I love it so much. And I always go back to it, but I do like the vinyasa, the slow yoga as well, and yin yoga, which I'm doing more of now as well, because I need it, because some part of my body is stiff, like my hips is quite tight, so the yin, and you sit there and it's so hard, but again, mentally you have to sit with that as well. Right.
Yeah, it's definitely lifelong.
And then Lindsay, just going back, so you mentioned about what you did in the past, but what have you got planned in the future? Because any more books on the horizon? I know you've got a yoga retreat to India.
Yeah, India's come up. It's going to be pretty special, going up to Dharamshala next time, Dalai Lama's monastery, and to see Jetsunmo Tenzin Palmo, Buddhist nun, and down to Jaipur, so that'll be exciting. I'm currently in the throes of hopefully bringing to Edinburgh a premiere of the Mantra movie, which is a wonderful movie. You may have already seen or heard of it, and it's really, it was 6 years in the making, and it covers all the most beautiful mantra players we have around the world with us at the moment, and it just takes us through that journey of how meditation, mantra, music can support well-being, and there's a bit of science in it too, about how it can change the brains and the alpha waves and how it works, so really interesting. So that's keeping me quite busy at the moment to set that up. The podcast series voicesofyoga.com, we relaunched that recently, and just about interviewing yogis from around the world, sharing interesting conversations about different topics. So,
and that's how we met, wasn't it? Actually, for you approaching me to your podcast, and look, here we are. Is it almost a year and a half later? 2 years,
probably is, and it's still there, and you can still listen to it, everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful. Right. Well, shall we sign off from there? It's been so lovely to chat to you, Donna, as ever.
As always, as always.
Yes, and we'll hopefully hear from the listeners, and you and I will catch up again soon.
I look forward to it. Take care.
Namaste.
Namaste.